But today we've got Ryan, who's sent in Bentley Park. And I want to actually quickly read out because he's written in a little bit more of a submission. He says, I've got a property in Bentley Park and I'm wondering what stage of the cycle this area is in. Is there an opportunity? I've got an opportunity to buy another one here at a good price, but if the growth potential needs to be there to outweigh the risk of not having diversity. So Bentley Park, Cairns. Where are we sitting, mate? Did you want to get into the stats first, or how do you want to attack this one?
Absolutely. I think I attack it from the diversity piece first, right?
Okay.
Because with the diversity, I think this is an aspect of building a portfolio that very few truly grasp.
Mhm.
Now, firstly, I think of diversity in multiple ways. I firstly think of the difference in land taxes you can have from being in multiple states. Then I break that down and go, if I'm okay with that, the second part is the difference of markets. Like as in, if I'm in the same state, are there areas and markets that are truly performing in different ways, different starts of their cycles, or even different drivers?
It's like property clock, to oversimplify it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Then the third and final part is how much more do I have left in the tank? And by that, I mean, if it's my last purchase because of a plan that I've got or because of truly limiting finances, incomes and everything, and I don't see any envision change for 5 to 10 years and I'm happy with my portfolio it is now, then you might be okay kind of going, I really just want the best option for growth and price and dollars and deal making, and I don't mind if I'm in the same location.
Okay.
But if you go through that sequence of 3, I'm going to assume that he does not have a huge amount of properties outside of these deals that were being made in Cairns. And if that's the case, I would say, well, why not consider somewhere else? Because you've already got exposure in that area. So that's my first thought.
Okay.
And that somewhere else could still be in Queensland because there are different markets in Queensland in different parts of the cycle. For example, you asked a question on the cycle part. The part of Cairns is in what we call a hot spot cycle.
Okay.
I have 3 distinct rankings. I'm not the clock guy from 12 to 3 to 6 to 9.
Yeah.
I am the market categories, and I have categories such as early adopter, get into markets, adopt into trends early. And then I have the second part, which is hot spot, things that are all clear, trends are in motion and things are growing. And then I have the third one, which is called a second wind. Grew, slowed down, and it's going to grow again, but for not as long. And in this aspect, you also have the in-betweens. It's kind of like, oh, it's not there, but it's there. In this case right now, Cairns is a hotspot. So Cairns is strong on many metrics. And for that reason, it is a go. Now, on the metrics, happy to jump through a few.
Yeah, man. Let's look at the data.
The first thing here is that from the growth levels, I always start macro. And macro, what I'm seeing with Cairns is the job market is on fire. Unemployment rates start with a 2. So just when you thought 3s and 4s were low unemployment, which it is low, and nationally the averages are very low in the 3s, well, Cairns starts with a 2 now. So that is very, very low. The next thing here is that we've got affordability at pretty good levels too. Now, I know price growth has happened a lot and local incomes might not be as high in some areas, but many parts of Cairns are still very affordable, even by the local means, because you've got this undervalue, overvalue index that we take. And Cairns has a little bit of overvalue, but very little in comparison to other cities that are way overvalued. So I'd still call it affordable from a Cairns perspective.
And so just to clarify as well, when you're talking about Cairns, are you talking about like Greater Cairns or you're referring to Bentley Park?
Yeah, Greater Cairns, but when you start diving from this macro down to the micro, Bentley Park has things that are going well from it, from aspects of vacancy rates to the aspects of inventory levels to looking at, search indexes, looking at days on market, vacancy rates. I said vacancy rates again, but vendor discounting, all the factors that we look at, I don't see there's too much separation in Cairns from suburb to suburb. It's not a massive difference. Majority of Cairns are seeing these trends in a positive direction. I'd expect growth to continue into 2024. Okay. So right now, I would say, I'm here to say it, it's a go for me.
It's a go. Okay. So, but the thing that makes it a no isn't the area. It's more if you've got the opportunity for some diversification and maybe still within Queensland, but outside of Cairns, then you're potentially better off playing on another, I was going to say property clock. I keep referring to property clocks, but into another area. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, let's just say this person's got Queensland tattooed on their chest and they're just like, no, we're going Queensland. Let's go. Yep. Now, if that's the angle, I would say maybe not Cairns. Could you consider Townsville, Rockhampton, different parts of their cycle? Because Rockhampton's halfway between hotspot and early adopter, and Townsville is still in the early adopter market. So I would say, well, you're still in Queensland. You're not miles apart. I mean, Queensland's a huge place. You kind of are, but you're not miles apart. But at the same time, you've got that affordability. You've probably got the same deal making and just a different start of the cycle. So just as Cairns digs in for the next couple of years, Townsville's just starting over the next couple of years. So that could be an example of how you could diversify it, still be in the same state. But yeah, look, you have to really be special deal making if you're willing to go for a second in Queensland. And if they're both affordable, you might still hang under the threshold of land tax. But my opinion here is you've got money in Cairns. It's going to make some money for you. And I expect more money to be made. Maybe you can start the same patterns elsewhere.
Okay. And for anyone else that's thinking Cairns, or even more specifically Bentley Park, that doesn't have the same diversification issue that Ryan's got, is there any other quick stats that we should run through before we run out of time on Bentley Park, Cairns?
I would say not so much stats specific to Bentley Park. I'd say similar to the problem that many perceive in markets of Queensland is two factors: the weather conditions. We've seen, I've got a huge detailed blog post on Cairns, and it's actually around the far north Queensland. It's on blog posts of Cairns and Townsville. I think it's probably the most detailed post on the internet about these two cities that exist.
How can people find that?
So investikit.com.au, and there's a research tab, and you click blog, and you're able to go scroll through that and you'll be able to find it.
All right, so click research blog. Got it?
Yep. Now that one there shows the history of floods, the insurances and the impacts, the local economies, the cycle, and long story short, two things. Rents are increasing and high enough to make up for the outgoings that you perceive as high.
Gotcha.
And number two is the rate of growth post any of these weather impact circumstances that happen is typically a V-shaped recovery. So when you think something bad's happening, they come around really quick.
All right. Ajit Paliwal from Investikit. It's good to hear a go, but mate, looking forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Cairns is looking good, and over to that investor to continue the success ahead.